Hello and welcome to another Friday rant. This Friday rant's a little bit long, so if you're pressed for time, you can just read the major points down below. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the movement the Democrat Party always pushes forward in every election, but never seems to achieve, fortunately, about student loan forgiveness. Now, they always talk about student loans as if this is somehow of benefit to the people, and it will benefit some people, but it is not clear who it will benefit or why. If you juxtapose this effort against the debt repayment and IRS lien ads that you see, you will see that those people are celebrating to get out of debt for a fraction of what they owed. These are people who were motivated to do what is right and make an effort at least to repay, even if that's just a token effort, even if it's just a little bit. What the Democrats propose is complete forgiveness of loans, which helps only certain people and gives people the wrong incentive to take out loans. Instead of encouraging our students, who are our future, to follow this particular example and try and do what is right and at least make an effort to repay the contractual obligations into which they voluntarily entered, we mollycoddle and make excuses for them. And you have to ask yourself, what message does this send to those we are looking to bail out? It takes the responsibility away from the person who entered the contract and puts it on someone else who has no idea that the contract was even written. It punishes people who don't have any student loans or who never took them out, particularly people who never went to college or those who have long since paid them back. It puts a lie to the notion that education is an investment, and it will incentivize the wrong kinds of people to attend college because they will go to college for the wrong reasons. So let's analyze those in greater detail. Number one, changing responsibility. A couple of years ago at a gas station near my house, I was approached one night by a woman who was begging for money. She complained that she needed money in order to feed her 5 kids. And when I pointed out that Del Taco was right across the street and that they were doing 3 tacos for $1, she said, "What do you expect me to do, feed my children tacos?" And I said, "I don't care what you feed them. They're not my kids." Then it escalated, and at some point, to make the story short, I said to the woman, you didn't consult me for permission to have kids, and I certainly didn't have any of the fun making them, so I missed the part where it's my responsibility to take care of them. When it comes to student loans, the students did not ask my permission to borrow money. They did not enter into a contract with me to pay me back, and so it's inappropriate and illegal to ask me to pay for a loan in which I had no say. You're not going to give me money from your paycheck when you finish and get a job, so there will be nothing for me in it except for paying a debt in the creation of which I had no participation. I wasn't consulted in the terms, and I will not be consulted in the terms of the loan forgiveness. Why should I have to repay your loan? The problem with transferring responsibility to taxpayers is it doesn't teach our young people, particularly those college age, that actions have consequences and that with great authority and opportunity comes responsibility. This is, in my mind, as a college professor, one of the most important things that we teach our students, even those who never graduate, that if you don't do the work and you don't get it in on time, you get an F. And without failure, there is no incentive to grow. Number two, it inequally rewards people who have with regard to their loans. Okay, so we have a great fraction of the population that never went to college. So they're not party to this boondoggle handout because they never attended college. And the Democrats don't ever talk about, which is odd since they have so many union members, about paying off the trade school debt. This is only for community colleges and universities. It's like a great self-licking ice cream cone or something. So they don't talk about paying people back who have already long since finished college and paid back any loans that they had. I have coworkers who work with me in the same department who just barely a year or two ago finished paying off their student loans. No one is talking about giving them a cent, which is odd because they entered into the same loans. So it seems like it's a lucky of the draw of when you were born whether or not you get any money. And it makes student loans the only loan that the government cares about. There is no offer whatsoever to pay off houses or cars, only student loans. which means there's nothing for me at all. I'm one of the few very lucky and fortunate people who managed to go to college and grad school and leave with zero student loan debt. Now, I know that's difficult for most people, but I decided not to go to an upper tier college. I went to an in-state school in a state where I had lived, paid in-state tuition, and got a teaching assistantship in grad school, which allowed me to pay for most of my academic costs. I know not everyone can do that, and that's not offered, but if that's something you're interested in, get a STEM degree. There is no movement whatsoever among the Democrat Party to make the buyout equitable, which is the new Democrat way of saying we're trying to buy your vote. Apparently they don't want my vote. Maybe they assume they already have it, which would be foolish. The effort to repay student loans is just another example of the Democrat Party's crusade to make the greatest effort to help those who contribute the least. Point number 3, it puts the lie to the notion that education is an investment. When I make an investment and I put money into something, I expect that that money will grow. And I expect that that if I buy something for $1,000, then after a certain period of time, I will be able to get back more than $1,000. This is something where I didn't get anything up front, but when it's due, I don't get money. I get to pay money to pay off someone else's debt. An investment earns me a return. It doesn't cost me for something I didn't even know was happening. There is no return on investment. What do I get? I get a bill. That's not investment. That's a utility payment. But it seems to me that in this effort, they're going after certain people because they have a utility, which is that you have money, I have need, you should give me your money because I need it, without any consideration for why those who don't have money, or why those who do have money do. They did the same thing with they talked about doing the same thing with stimulus payments during COVID, about people who don't need it and shouldn't take it or get a payment because they don't need it. But that also doesn't take into account why people who don't have money don't have any money. And it also ignores the fact that some people hide money in like their mattresses. People assume that because I have money, that of necessity I should give it to them. They are not concerned with their poor choices or my good ones. All they see is that I have stuff and they have a need and they want my stuff to fill their need. That is not education. That is not civil society. That is legalized plunder, or in a word, piracy. Final and fourth point. As an educator, I know that not everyone should go to college. It's not for everyone. And paying off student loans will encourage people to go to college who shouldn't. I don't have the article here, but I always bring it into class, that in Nevada, where I work, that fewer than 71% of high school seniors are actually ready to go to college when they graduate from college. We are usually 48th, 49th, or 50th in the nation in terms of college and educational achievement. So here it's especially obvious that not everyone belongs there. I have students who aren't literate. I have students who hate math and then want to get a STEM degree. You can't get a STEM degree without doing math. How come your test has to be 30% math? To make sure that if you avoid the math, you can't get a grade that counts. It's simple. Not everyone needs to go to college. There are plenty of people out there who do very well without a college degree. Plenty of people learn a trade. I have neighbors who are tradesmen. There's a guy around the corner who owns a sheetrocking, taping, mudding, and painting business. We all want to know how he is so successful because that man has more toys than anyone I've ever seen. And he lives in the same neighborhood as I do. And yet I have neighbors who are like, well, you have 2 cars. Yes, I have 2 cars, but the newest one is 16 years old. Just because I have 2 cars doesn't mean I have 2 valuable cars. It's an '05 Malibu. Give me a break. Not everyone is ready to go to college. Not everyone is motivated to finish college. Not everyone who goes to college ends up doing what they do, especially in Nevada. We have a lot of college graduates down on the strip dealing blackjack, waiting tables, parking cars, and doing bartending because those pay better in Nevada than getting a college education. And particularly in Nevada, this is a state that neither recognizes nor rewards scholastic achievement. Many of the people who go to college don't belong there. They don't need to be there. They have no intention of making it useful. And a lot of people don't use what they learn in college anyway. Even failing students will use somehow, I guess, to buoy themselves up, famous, successful college dropouts like Bill Gates and Mark Zuckerberg, who are two of the richest men in the world who dropped out of college, as examples about why it's okay that they're failing. People who have this attitude of not trying to succeed, of not, like I said before, at least making a token effort to make it worthwhile, are not people for whom we should be paying money in college. And they're definitely not people whose loans we should pay back. It sends the wrong message that if you don't make it, someone else will bail you out. That is not a message that college teaches. College teaches that if you look to your left and you look to your right, those are not your friends. Those are a threat because they're competing for the same positions as you. So we circle back around with that and must address the canard that education is valuable, that education is where we should put our money, our time, and our politics. As a member of higher education, in my experience, a lot of higher education money amounts to nothing more than money laundering schemes. I still have no idea why the University of Nevada, Las Vegas has a football team. I think it's a way to wash money out of a casino, but that's an uninformed opinion. It's more of a knee-jerk reaction because I don't know why we have a team that never wins. But the effort to sell the Democrat Party on the auspice that will pay off your loans amounts to nothing more than propagandizing. They want to put everyone in college that they possibly can, not because they want to empower you to gain strength, but because they want to make sure that everyone gets the same exposure to the same ideas and the same classes so that they'll all turn out to be the same kind of automatons that are easy for a manipulative government to abuse. Really, the only thing that I know that college affords that other options don't is an opportunity for socialization and networking. But the students who enter into loans who are either unable or unwilling to make an effort to repay them will not be good at either networking or socialization. They don't have the ability to follow through generally or to make and keep commitments. And we have a crap ton of people between the ages of 18 and 24 who claim to be spontaneous as an excuse for not having to make and keep commitments. College is a commitment. It's a concerted commitment. And if we take away this consequence, then it saps a lot of the other commitments of their power. What incentive is there for me to finish college if I don't have to pay back any of the money I borrowed to go there? What incentive do I have to put into practice what I learned if it didn't cost me anything? And what do I learn about failure and about accountability if someone always bails me out, even if it's daddy government? I am fundamentally opposed to paying off student loans carte blanche. There may be instances where some loan forgiveness is appropriate and ideal. These should be taken, as are the debt forgiveness programs and even IRS liens, on a case-by-case basis, where the organization that gave the loans considers whether or not they want to repay the loan. Not that government steps in and says, you know what, you have money, you should pay that person's loan. And because I know most of my students, if they knew what I think and feel politically, philosophically, and morally, would hate me. And what you're asking me to do is take my money and help people succeed who would riot in my blood and hunt me from the face of the earth, which is a very un-American thing to do. And if you don't believe me, go back and read the Declaration of Independence, because that was exactly the kind of behavior that actually precipitated that document. It wasn't student loans, but it was irresponsible government spending that precipitated the revolution, asking the colonists to pay for things to help people they didn't know, never saw, and didn't like, or at least who didn't like the colonists. If you are someone who went to college and took out a loan, I hope that you prove to the organization that gave you money, whether it's a loan or a scholarship, that it was worth the investment. Make something of yourselves. That's the whole point of everything that we do. That's the purpose of college, is to make you better than you were when you got there. Then that's my Friday rant. Good luck, Godspeed, and guard your own wallet. Government certainly won't.